Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast, where we overanalyze all things Bravo.
We have loved this season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, so we wanted to take a quick look back to see, what we think is probably the best season that they've had yet, talking about the biggest fights, the kind of like feuds happening between the ladies, and who some of the winners and losers of the season are.
Honestly, some of it surprised me. I feel like this is a season that kind of flipped everything on its head. Like, the fan favorites are no longer fan favorites. People are kind of coming for Baby Gorgeous, and Angie's kind of coming out on top. I don't know what's going on, man. But I definitely want to talk about it.
It's been amazing to witness the revival of Angie. Like, she has had such a little renaissance, hasn't she?
Well, especially because she's apparently been trying to get on the show for so long. We're like, you know what? You get that seat next to Angie.
Exactly. You get Andy. That seat. Andy and Angie. And the center Snowflake. She's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I definitely think you're right. The Baby Gorgeous kind of like topple that has happened on Lisa Barlow has been pretty unexpected. And little did I think that Bronwyn, a brand new housewife, would be the one to kind of orchestrate that. But yeah,
it's true. What is the show that is kind of like notorious for having like foils of people? Is it kind of like Beverly Hills, where they put kind of people together that there's one person who kind of like riles them up a little bit?
Maybe, yeah, that. And like I think at Real Housewives of Atlanta they talk about it a lot too, like the dynamics between those women.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Bronwyn was a very big force in terms of Lisa, and just kind of like sent her into a tailspin.
Yeah.
And also, okay, look, we can say things about Bronwyn and her like kind
100%.
of potential pathological lying. But it really exposed Lisa's just inability to take accountability. Like, she just refuses. Like, nothing is ever going to be her fault. And she will, if you insult her, she will put something so much worse, not just on you, but like everyone around you.
Yeah, and her, like Lisa taking up for these like grandparents of Gwen, and like her intense, just like the way that she's kind of like ride or dying for them, like being like, they're such good people, they're so nice. Like, these are people that we don't even know. Like, clearly they are known in the Salt Lake City community if people can like put two and two together. But for the general public, like, none of us know who these people are. And the way that Lisa's coming off, like defending these people so hard, when like Gwen is like a literal person on this show that we know. And just the fact that they're like, oh, we thought she had a miscarriage. We didn't even think that Gwen was alive. Like, we didn't know like anything about this person. And like the real pain that you feel for Bronwyn and Gwen in like, having all of this exposed and like their dirty laundry being out there. And then also to be kind of like hearing like that they should be kind of like backing up these grandparents and making them like look better or something, and like not calling them out so much is crazy.
It was so crazy. And it's just like literally everyone on the couch was like, can you just acknowledge that like Bronwyn and Gwen are hurting right now? Like, can you just acknowledge that this is hard for them? And then she's just like, I feel bad for everyone. And it's like, okay, we get it. You feel bad for them too, but like, can you please just like give her something? And she's like, everyone.
Everybody is hurting in this situation, including me.
And it's like, I'm sure that they are like, but just right now, like, you have a friend who is just asking for acknowledgement of their feelings and help. Like, when even Heather, who is like, it seems like it's her number one life goal to be like Lisa Barlow's best friend, like when even Heather is like, no, she has you, like, just apologize.
Just be like, sorry. Just be like, okay, let's move on. I don't know. Like, do something. It's a little upsetting. And yeah, Lisa has always been like one of my favorites. I was always like, really impressed with her kind of like ability to like, combat some of these women, like, put her stance out there. I was always pretty like pleased with her. I would defend her a lot, especially some of her bad behavior, but can't do that this year.
No, and I don't know. I don't know if it's like she's changed or like what is happening, but I do find her a lot more insufferable.
I feel like it's just that the circumstances have changed, right? Like, Jen Shaw was kind of like there for the first few seasons, that kind of like always, kind of like toppled, I guess, the way that we were like skewed kind of like what we were seeing and how we were perceiving different things.
True.
And yeah, like I think Lisa's never had kind of like this like off camera cast like a storyline happening, plus like this new on-camera storyline where she's being kind of called out. Like it's always been like her versus Whitney or her versus Heather, and like we could kind of like more easily see both sides. But now the dynamic is that much more complicated and the stakes are that much higher and much realer than like jazz tickets or whatever they've fought about in the past,
Yeah.
which was always very superficial.
Yeah. No, it is true. Can we really quickly just talk about that finale scene too? Because, like,
Oh my
what
god.
in the celebrities read mean tweets was that?
That was pretty genius. So for those of you who didn't see the last episode, you should. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
A plus. Basically Heather decided to kind of like, sit down at this table and say, let's all read each other's meanest texts about each other. And so
Because
you basically
that'll
had to
bury
like,
it.
yeah, that'll end any of the animosity that we have in this group. And for some people, I do think that it actually was healing. But for like, at its core, it is a very like, this is probably not going to go well. And it didn't go well, especially when Lisa, the text about Lisa was written that Whitney had written.
But that's it. And okay, to be fair, that text was outrageous.
Yeah, that was
People
crazy.
people keep throwing out these like accusations about Lisa's marriage, and I totally
Yeah.
get that should be off limits, and it's like, what is happening? But just the way that she, well, actually no, that's never been off limits. It's the kids that are off limits.
Yeah.
But the way that she reacted to it, and then the way that she put something out, like said something else that was horrible about Angie's husband,
Yeah.
who like wasn't even involved. I feel like that is the epitome of how Lisa was being this season. It's just like when
Yeah.
you put her against a wall, she's just gonna like
Yeah, like scratch her way out like any
go
way that she
scorched
can.
earth.
Yeah, totally. And also just like get up and walk away, which is also what Meredith does, which drives me absolutely
That's
crazy.
all Meredith does now.
Like she's her literally, that's her move, right? Like there's nothing else that she does. She doesn't contribute anything else. There's no other storyline. It's just I have to get up and walk away now because I'm too mad. Meredith.
Yeah. Well, and I think like at the beginning we were all like the first few seasons we kind of loved it, like her being like, I am disengaging, and we're like, yeah, it's like disengage. But now we're like, okay, you're disengaging again. We're just
yes.
okay, we're walking away again. Oh, you're not even really involved in this.
No. Well, and that's another one of the kind of like the big things that happens this season, or the big storylines that kind of keeps on coming back for some reason, is this like Angie versus Meredith like plot line that honestly like is annoying because it's just going back to last season, which I never think is like a smart thing for Housewives to do. Like leave season 4 in the past, this is season 5,
Yeah,
let's have some new storylines. But they just go on and on about this like conversation that Sean had, which is Angie's husband, had on a podcast, kind of like allegedly saying things about Meredith and her son, and because her son is gay, and like then all the gay rumors that had kind of come up through Meredith about Sean, and like just this kind of like tailspin of like constantly talking about this conversation that allegedly happened on a podcast, or it happened on a podcast, but like if that's your storyline for the year, that's not a great sign.
No, her storyline is literally that, and that she had a bat mitzvah.
Yeah.
Bat mitzvah.
Yeah, bat mitzvah. And she like basically got to kick Angie out of that bat mitzvah because Angie is her enemy number 1 this season because of this conversation that Sean had on a podcast. Like,
well, also because of the whole stuff with Brittany.
Yeah,
but
allegedly.
But that did give us high body count hair, which was pretty good.
That is true. Another win for Angie in this this round of things too, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Meredith. I think she's kind of just over the show and just kind of like riding it out at this point.
Yeah. Well, and even Andy is kind of like, while they're in part 2 of the reunion this week, Andy basically says to them, like, why are we even fighting about this? Like, what is this? Like, this is stupid. Like, there's no point in us having this conversation. And like for the first time, and well, not for the first time, but like, I very much agreed with Andy's thoughts there. I was like, yeah, this is time for us to put this to bed. This cannot be a returning 6th season conversation.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. No, I didn't get to watch part 2 yet, but
Oh, sorry. It's
no,
really
no,
good.
it's
You
okay.
should watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it tonight for sure.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, whenever Seth, like Meredith's husband, comes in, it's always entertaining.
Yeah, it is because he's just such an oddball, and their
Yeah.
relationship is so interesting. Like, what really is their relationship, and what really is their life, even? Because, like, so in the part 2 of the reunion, like they talk about how Meredith basically like lives in Salt Lake City part time because they rent a house there in the winter so that she can be on this show. And then I guess they
Oh.
go back to Ohio, like or wherever Seth is currently working for the rest of the year. Um, and I just think it's interesting that that was like such a problem on Real Housewives of New York for Tinsley and Dorinda. Like the fact that Tinsley spent the winters or whatever in Palm Beach,
Yeah.
and then lived in New York the rest of the time. It's interesting that that's not such a problem for Meredith
Oh
apparently.
my god, that's so true. Because that sounds a lot more like she's literally just going to Salt Lake City to film the show.
Yeah, just to be there because she can. Which honestly,
That's
like if
funny.
I could winter in somewhere like cute and ski, like I get like a little chalet cabin, I'd probably do it. If I
Salt
had the
Lake City
funds.
looks so pretty in the winter, I'm not gonna lie. Like, especially that spa that they went to where like the background is just like the beautiful mountains.
Oh
Basically
my god.
every scene that they have, the background is just beautiful mountains.
Incredible. It
So
is. Do you follow Wishbone Kitchen at all on like TikTok or Instagram or anything?
I don't think so.
Oh my god. Okay, if there's any Wishbone Kitchen fans out there, let us know. I'm obsessed. But you should check out her Instagram or her TikTok right now because she's on this vacation in Montana that is like the just like epitome of like what you'd want like a ski chalet vacation to be. She did like a day like a morning routine the other day and she's like going to the sauna and like getting
Ah,
all like
so
hot and
nice.
saunaed and then going skiing and looking like a little ski bunny and I was just like this is the life. Like this is
That's
real goals.
That's the kind of winter that I feel like I would like to have. It is
Yeah.
so cold here. Like I don't remember it ever being so cold. Like
No.
you go outside and you're like, I'm gonna get frostbite if like any
Yeah.
part of me is exposed. So
Gross.
yeah, not I
uh,
don't recommend. But yeah, I
yeah.
don't Meredith's not really giving us much this season except for you are vile. She does have some pretty good like one-liners.
And I did really enjoy the level that like of intensity that she got to when Brittany was
Filming
allegedly
them.
filming them in the Sprinter van, which
Okay.
like Brittany, what were you doing?
I'm sorry. Brittany, I I do try to withhold too much judgment sometimes on her because I truly feel like she is like the like reflection of like the way she's grown up, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously she has a view of what a relationship is and putting men on a pedestal and all this, but
Yeah.
like I can't with this woman. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like it's too much. Like
Yeah.
we need the self-respect levels need to they need to go higher.
Yeah. They do. They do, unfortunately. I know. I really didn't vibe with Brittany this season. I thought that like Sprinter van, in my opinion, the Sprinter van filming was kind of like the last straw because I'm just like, what kind of try hard like behavior is this? Like, why why are you doing that? Are you like filming it because you could leak it to Instagram? Are you filming it because you want to like learn from it and like play it back later for yourself? Like, are you sending it to somebody? Like, what is this? Like, why are you doing that? Like,
Well, why also like you're just clearly lying in like
like so,
I was sending a video to my daughter or not no she
yeah,
apparently
it's
didn't
her
talk to her.
daughter.
Was it? But didn't
Yeah,
she like
because her
not
her
talk to
daughter
her
had got,
daughter?
but her daughter had like gotten a good grade on a test, so she
Oh yeah,
was
so she's
trying
like,
to
"Oh,
like
I
film a
was
thing.
just
It's like,
filming." It's like, "Oh, I thought that I would take a selfie during this huge fight
yeah,
and like film like and it's like she wasn't filming the window, she was filming
no,
like the seat."
yeah,
Like I feel like rule 101 of like
hmm
being a housewife is literally like don't straight up just start recording.
yeah. Well, and once again, here we are. God bless Angie for like seeing it, like clocking it, and basically like calling it out right away, and being like,
Angie,
like she's done an amazing job this
she
season.
clocked
Is she
in
the
this
winner of
season.
the season?
No, she's
Like,
full. I actually think she might be the winner of the season, and
I think she's the winner of the season.
I don't think I vibed with her when she like her first season. Like I was just kind of
No,
like, what? Yeah, but this season, and also seeing, I'm so sorry, I'm going somewhere else. We can go
no,
back,
no.
but
I love
seeing
it.
her relationship with Mary, I find very, very
Oh,
sweet.
her relationship with Mary was like so amazing, and like I'm really glad that we got a new version of Mary kind of on the show this year. Like I was really
Same.
skeptical when they said that they were going to bring her back. Um, the first few seasons were like really weird, pretty uncomfortable, and you even like last season, like she just didn't really want to participate. She didn't really feel like she wanted to be there. She was good
No.
for like a couple one-liners, but that was about it. But she actually like really came to play this year and like was very open and vulnerable about everything that was happening with Robert Jr. And like seeing the impact of that like on all of the housewives and like the fan reaction and everything like has been really well received. And I think that's a beautiful thing that can happen with reality TV sometimes.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Mary's also came up there as well this season for me, which was not the same in past seasons at all.
No, no,
And
completely different person, honestly.
especially when you for a housewife to come out and be so vulnerable about such a really hard thing to talk about and really serious thing, and also like not that she was wondering like what did I do in this situation, like could I have done something, like she wasn't putting blame on anyone,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
she was, I don't know, she was just very raw and real and
Yeah.
open, and like and then also you do understand when she goes on these trips and she's like this stuff doesn't matter, like what are you
Yeah.
even doing, like I have like
Yes.
so much bigger like
Yeah.
problems to deal with in my life.
Yeah. And honestly, that kind of context and that I guess kind of like grounding of like what we're witnessing is kind of like nice for us to kind of see because sometimes, yeah, like it at the surface level, this TV show and this franchise is rich women fighting about shallow nonsense, like
Which they
just
do a lot.
which they do a lot. But it's nice to kind of have like the balance of that with like other conversations. And I've always what like first drew me to the Housewives was like the conversations about like Taylor Armstrong and her like domestic violence that she was dealing with and like the things that were happening with Bethany and her ex-husband and
Yeah, like
like
the Richard sisters like
the Richard
relationships.
sisters, their relationships. That's just it, like such real things were happening under the surface of all of this
Yeah.
really like shallow kind of like seemingly um storylines. And that's like it's like Gossip Girl, right? Like Gossip Girl is like all these stories about like these totally ridiculous things, and then you also have like at the core of it like some really like real interesting human interest stories of like dealing with parents and dealing with like each other and yourself and all these. Yeah.
That is so interesting. I did not think that you were going to bring it to Gossip Girl.
It's because I'm doing a Gossip Girl rewatch right now. Sorry,
I
all
love.
roads lead back to Gossip Girl in my mind.
I feel like that was me with the OC when I was
Yeah,
rewatching the
but
OC.
that's totally fair. Well, and that's the interesting. So I won't
Actually,
get
the
into it.
OC
I won't get
too.
into it now. But
Yeah.
yeah, the OC, 100%. It's yoga lattes and it's like
It's like Marissa's
family
drinking
dynamics.
problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And adopting a 17-year-old boy.
17-year-old boy from the wrong side of the tracks who just needs a good home. He has no one and he has nowhere to go.
Okay, we have to do Gossip Girl and OC recaps.
Yes.
It's
Oh my
settled.
god. Honestly, yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, no, totally agree. I think Angie and Mary are coming out on top for us. I think it's also why I'm looking a little different at Lisa too, is that like I feel like Lisa has no interest in going deeper. Like I feel like Lisa doesn't want to talk about really anything above the surface. Below the surface?
Below the surface, yeah. That's actually a really interesting point because I think you're right. I think a lot of like the reasons that we've loved Lisa is kind of because we've like captured these moments, like these like fun moments, the
like campy
gorgeous,
moments,
the memes, the like whatever, like everything that the internet kind of like picks up and runs with and has like fun with. But you're right, and I think that even became a conversation with the whole like Bronwyn and Angie thing is like, we walked away from that trip in, was it Puerto Vallarta that they were in Mexico? And Angie felt like she knew more about Bronwyn than she ever knew about Lisa.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was the group of the people that were saying that.
Yeah.
And it's true, like we have had Bronwyn for one season and we know so much about Bronwyn in a way that like we have had Lisa for 5 seasons and we like know very little about Lisa.
Because anytime someone tries to bring something up, she like goes crazy. I mean, also the things they bring up are usually like sus about her marriage, but like yeah, it's
and, or like her like parenting styles and like like I'm sorry, if if a boy, like a young boy, wants to play 12 hours of video games, like I don't think a mom's gonna be able to like really rein that in. Like it's just that's just having
No.
teenagers and having people
And
like children in this day and age. Like it's
and
really
what
really
Angie
scary.
said was like legitimately hurtful. Like that
Yeah,
was a low blow
like
for
come
sure to
on.
talk about
Yeah,
someone's parenting style. But I think it is still true that like we've gotten a lot deeper stories from Angie too. Like Angie talks
yeah,
about her
that's
mom
true.
passing away, and you have scenes with her dad, and like
Hmm.
yeah, now that I think about it, I don't feel like I know that much about Lisa or about Meredith.
Yeah. Like I know that Lisa is from New York. I know that she has two kids, and even Meredith. You're right. Like Meredith's whole the fact that like we don't even really know where Meredith lives
Lives.
the rest of the year, and like like what's going on with her. Yeah, it's so interestingly surface level. But I guess it's an interesting or like a hopeful trajectory that we're kind of like getting to these like better seasons now with this franchise. I think it's a good trend going in a good direction. I think season one, two, three, super chaotic, super weird. Who knows what was going on with that? Season four was getting more interesting. Season five is getting even better. Like we can only
Yeah.
hope that season six is going to be like amazing.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
And to be hitting your
Um,
stride on season 5 is like pretty like that's
I think it's pretty
interesting.
normal. Isn't that
Yeah,
normal?
that
Well,
late. Actually, no, season 5 is usually a really good season. I feel like if you get
that's
to season 5, like
yeah.
people are locked in.
I 100%. That's I'm like thinking like season five is like this first season that Lisa Rinna came in for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Season five isn't that when they restarted Real Housewives of Miami? And
Oh.
then season five is also for Roni. When we have Carol and Aviva and like
Yes,
Heather
such I
come
started
in,
rewatching that
like
season 2. It's so good.
yeah. Season four is the weird like season four is a weird season usually in my opinion
Yeah, no, that's fair.
historically. Yeah.
That's fair. I'm trying to think what VPR season 5 was.
VPR season five. That's Katie and Schwartz's
A
wedding. I'm
what?
pretty
Oh,
sure.
yeah, it's a good
I
season.
think so.
I think
That
so
is a good
too.
season. That is a good season.
Um so we talked about Bronwyn a little bit. I feel so conflicted with her because
Yeah.
like she's definitely lies and she definitely like she'll do weird stuff where she'll say things in the name of like the truth, but it's very clearly to like get back in the good graces with Lisa or something. Like
Yeah.
she'll kind of use people's words against them, but I think it's just the way she talks. She has such a
Mm.
vulnerability to her that like I continue to have a soft spot for her, and I don't know if
Mm.
that's bad or
No, I think that that's actually kind of interesting because I think so. She's actually kind of giving me, and I don't want this to trigger anyone, early Ramona seasons.
oh no. Well, then I take
uh,
back everything I
no,
just said.
but I say that because Ramona like was such an interesting character on the early seasons of Real Housewives of New York. Like she was like she could be like super like intense and like like headstrong in like certain cases and like really it felt like you were like you're crazy. And then there was other times where you like had these like really beautiful vulnerable moments with Ramona, not necessarily so much with like herself so much but more like in her compassion that she had for like Bethany in those early seasons and like just kind of some of those things um that I think that that's kind of why I'm drawing that parallel with
Yeah.
Bronwyn because I do think Bronwyn kind of like can possess both sides of that like chaotic energy maybe.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I'm definitely interested to see where she continues to go
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's easy
on
to
the
have a good
show.
first season. It's harder to keep that
It's so
title.
true. It's so
Yeah.
true. And then there was Heather who just kind of like was a pick me, but she was a pick me to Lisa basically.
Yeah, Heather's kind of had like the her I would say her worst season this season. This was like a really bad season for Heather unfortunately. She
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I just I don't know. I liked her so much. She was so fun. That whole is it the black eye thing? Like have we been tainted from the black eye and we can't go
Honestly,
back
a
now?
little bit probably.
Oh no.
It's just odd. But yeah, honestly, it was a great season and I'm excited for next year.
Yeah,
For
excited
next season.
for the reunion to end to see what
Yeah.
kind of happens with the casting. I
Is there
feel
a
like they'll
part 3?
probably. I think there's going to be at least a third. Yeah, part
Ooh.
three. Yeah,
Yay.
100%. Yeah, yeah. No, they have enough to talk about. Um, yeah. No, I'm excited to see kind of what happens with the casting for next year. I feel like they'll start filming probably pretty soon. No. because I feel like they still try to film usually in the winter.
Oh, it's true.
So maybe like a
Man, they're just
March
like constantly
timeframe.
in it. I mean,
This one is like really
anyone in these
reliable.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're filming and then you're watching and then you're doing reunion and then you're filming
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's picking up like so quickly. Yeah. But lucky for us.
yeah, let us know how you like the season and what you're watching next.